In the bright city of New Dawn, people lived busy lives. The streets were full of cars, and the police worked hard to keep everyone safe. Among the many officers was a man named Officer Daniels. He was known for his sharp eyes and quick decisions. Every day, he patrolled the city to protect the people. One clear morning, Officer Daniels was driving his patrol car when he noticed something strange. A car that looked familiar was driving slowly near the market. The license plate was not easy to read from a distance, but something made Daniels curious. He decided to follow the car quietly. The car stopped at a traffic light. Officer Daniels moved closer and looked carefully. Suddenly, he saw a quick flash of doubt in his mind. The car's registration did not match the name on the police database. It seemed like this car might be stolen. Daniel's heart beat faster. This was an important moment. If the car was stolen, he had to act fast. He switched on his siren and pulled the car over. The driver, a calm and confident man, stopped immediately. Officer Daniels stepped out of his car with a strong voice. "Sir, may I see your license and registration?" Daniels asked, watching the man closely. The man smiled gently and handed over his documents. Daniels looked at the papers and then at the man's face. To his surprise, the driver was not an ordinary person. He was Judge Malik, a respected judge in the city. Everyone knew Judge Malik for his fairness and kindness. He was someone who always stood for justice. Daniel's mind raced. How could Judge Malik be driving a stolen car? It did not make sense. But the papers still did not match the police records. He decided to ask more questions. "Judge Malik, do you know why I stopped you?" Daniels asked. Judge Malik nodded calmly. "I do, officer. I understand the importance of your work." Daniels explained, "The car you are driving shows as stolen in our system. Can you explain this?" Judge Malik looked thoughtful. "This car belongs to a friend. I borrowed it to attend a meeting. I have the owner's permission." Daniels was not fully convinced. He needed proof. "Do you have any proof, Judge?" Judge Malik reached into his briefcase and pulled out a note. It was a signed permission from the owner of the car. Daniels read it carefully. The note was clear and legal. It explained everything. Daniels felt a little embarrassed. He had judged the judge too quickly, but he was still worried about the stolen car record. "Sir, our system shows this car is stolen. This must be a mistake," Daniels said, hoping the system was wrong. Judge Malik smiled kindly. "I understand. Sometimes systems make mistakes. I suggest we check again together." Daniels nodded and called his office. He waited while they checked the records again. After a few minutes, the officer on the phone said the record was wrong. The car was not stolen. Daniels felt relief and apologized. "Judge Malik, I am sorry for the trouble. The system was wrong." Judge Malik shook his hand. "No harm done, officer. I appreciate your duty." Just then, a loud sound came from nearby. People were shouting. Daniels looked up and saw a crowd gathering. Someone was in trouble. Without hesitation, Judge Malik and Officer Daniels ran towards the crowd. They saw a young boy trapped under a fallen bicycle. The boy was crying, scared and hurt. Daniels knelt down and checked the boy's leg. It was hurt but not broken. Judge Malik comforted the boy with gentle words. "We need to get him to the hospital," Daniels said quickly. Judge Malik helped lift the bicycle. Together, they carried the boy to the patrol car. Daniels drove fast but safely to the city hospital. At the hospital, the doctors treated the boy. Everyone was grateful for the quick help. Daniels and Judge Malik stayed by the boy's side until his parents arrived. The parents thanked them with tears in their eyes. "Thank you for saving our son," they said. Daniels looked at Judge Malik and smiled. In that moment, he realized that justice and kindness worked best when people helped each other. As the sun set over New Dawn, Daniels and Malik talked quietly. They understood that sometimes people could be judged too fast, but when they worked, together they could make the city a better place. This day was only the beginning of a story that would change their lives and the whole city. They did not know it yet, but the truth about the car and many secrets would soon come to light. The next morning, the city of New Dawn woke up under a clear blue sky. Officer Daniels was back on his usual patrol route. Even though yesterday's event with Judge Malik seemed to be over, something still felt strange in Daniels' mind. He could not forget the confusion about the car's record. Daniels decided to visit the police records office. He wanted to understand why the system showed the car as stolen in the first place. Maybe there was more to the story than a simple mistake. At the records office, Daniels met Sergeant Lee. Lee was an expert in the police computer system. Daniels explained everything about Judge Malik's car and the strange stolen record. "Sergeant," Lee nodded and said, "sometimes our system gets wrong information from other places. But a stolen car record is serious. Let me check the full details." Lee typed fast on his keyboard and pulled up all the data about the car. Then his eyes widened. "This is odd," he said. "There are two different reports about this car. One says it was reported stolen last month. Another says it belongs to the friend who lent it to Judge Malik. Both records are in the system." Daniels frowned. "How can this happen? Which one is true?" Lee shook his head. "I don't know yet, but I will ask our department to look deeper. This needs to be fixed fast." Daniels thanked Lee and left the office. As he walked outside, he thought about Judge Malik. The judge had been calm and honest. He did not seem like someone who would drive a stolen car. Daniels began to feel a little trust for the judge. Meanwhile, Judge Malik was in his chambers, reading case files. His assistant came in with a message. "Judge, Officer Daniels called this morning. He wants to meet you," she said. Judge Malik smiled softly. "Please tell him I will meet him after my meetings today." Later that afternoon, Daniels and Judge Malik met in a quiet room in the courthouse. Daniels shared what he had learned at the police records office. "Judge, the system has two different reports about the car. I don't want to believe it is stolen, but something is not right," Daniels said honestly. Judge Malik listened carefully and said, "Thank you for telling me, officer. We must find the truth. If someone is trying to hide something, it could be dangerous." They agreed to work together. Judge Malik offered to use his legal contacts to help with the investigation. Daniels promised to check police reports and question people who might know about the car. As they left the meeting, both men felt a new sense of purpose. This was no longer just about a car. It was about justice and trust. That evening, Daniels went to the city's oldest mechanic shop. The shop was run by Mr. Torres, a quiet man who knew many secrets of the city's cars. Daniels asked him about the car in question. Mr. Torres wiped his hands and said, "I remember this car. It came here last week. The owner brought it for repairs." He seemed worried. "Do you know the owner's name?" Daniels asked. "Not really." "The man paid in cash and left quickly," Mr. Torres replied. Daniels felt a chill. Why would the owner be in a hurry? He thanked Mr. Torres and left. Meanwhile, Judge Malik met with his friend, the owner of the car. The man's name was David. David was a businessman who trusted Judge Malik. He explained that the car had some strange problems. It was reported stolen by mistake, but David did not know why. David looked worried. "I think someone is trying to damage my reputation. This stolen car record could ruin my business." Judge Malik nodded. "We will find who is behind this, David. You have my word." The next day, Daniels received a call from a police officer who worked at the city's traffic camera center. The officer said there was a video clip showing the car near an old warehouse on the night it was reported stolen. Daniels and Judge Malik decided to visit the warehouse together. The building was old and empty. It looked like no one had used it for years. They walked around carefully. Suddenly, they found fresh footprints near a broken door. The footprints were new and looked like someone had been there recently. Daniels looked at Judge Malik. Someone is hiding something here, Judge Malik agreed. We must report this to the police. Maybe this warehouse is connected to the false stolen car report. Just then, they heard a noise from inside the warehouse. Both men prepared themselves and went inside slowly. The warehouse was dark and dusty. Suddenly, a figure appeared in the shadows. It was a young woman. She looked surprised. To see them. Who are you? What are you doing here? Daniels asked calmly. The woman took a deep breath and said, My name is Lena. I work as a courier. I think someone is using this place to hide stolen cars and sell them in secret. Judge Malik and Daniels exchanged looks. This was bigger than they thought. Lena explained, I found this place by accident. I saw cars coming in and leaving at night. Some cars have fake papers like the one you asked about. Daniels nodded. This explains the confusion in the records. Someone is using fake information to cover their crimes. Judge Malik said, We need to bring this to the authorities. Lena, will you help us? Lena agreed. She knew the dangers, but wanted to do the right thing. Daniels called for backup. Soon, more officers arrived to investigate the warehouse. They found several cars with fake documents, including the one Judge Malik had borrowed. The police arrested the criminals behind the operation. They had been stealing cars and creating fake records for months. The city of New Dawn was safe again, thanks to the courage and teamwork of Officer Daniels, Judge Malik, and Lena. As the sun set on the city, Daniels and Malik knew this was just the start. They had uncovered a hidden world of crime. But together they could protect their city and bring justice to all. After the arrests at the warehouse, New Dawn seemed peaceful again. Officer Daniels returned to his daily patrol, but the mystery still lived in his mind. The stolen car ring was just one part of a bigger problem. He felt the city hid more secrets beneath its bright surface. Judge Malik kept working hard in his courtroom. He thought about the warehouse case and the brave courier named Lena. He wanted to help her in any way he could. The judge believed that truth was not always easy to find, but it was worth every effort. One morning, Daniels received a message from Lena. She had found something new, a list of names and places connected to the stolen car operation. She said it was hidden inside an old computer at the warehouse. Daniels shared the news with Judge Malik. They decided to meet again at the courthouse to plan their next steps. The list could reveal more criminals and protect many innocent people. When they met, Judge Malik said, This list might bring down a large crime network. We must be careful. Daniels nodded. We need to check every name and place. If we miss something, they could escape. Together, they called Lena and arranged for her to come to the courthouse. Lena arrived, nervous but determined. She handed over the list on a small data drive. Judge Malik looked at the data carefully. This is valuable evidence. We must use it wisely. Daniels contacted Sergeant Lee to help analyze the data. Lee worked through the night, searching for connections and clues. The more they looked, the clearer the picture became. The stolen car ring was linked to other crimes in the city, like smuggling and fake documents. One name on the list caught Daniels' attention. It was a man named Victor Reyes. Victor was known in the city but kept a low profile. Some said he was a businessman, others whispered about his illegal dealings. Daniels and Malik knew they had to find Victor. If he was the leader behind the crimes, catching him would be the key to stopping everything. They began by visiting places Victor was said to frequent. A small cafe in the city center, a private club, and even a warehouse near the docks. Each place gave a little more information, but no clear sight of Victor. One afternoon, Lena called Daniels in a hurry. I saw Victor meeting someone near the old pier, she said. Daniels and Malik decided to go to the pier at once. The area was quiet and foggy. The pier stretched out over the dark water with only a few lights shining. As they walked carefully, they heard voices. Hiding behind crates, they saw Victor talking with several men. They were discussing shipments and money. The conversation was secret but full of danger. Daniels whispered, "This is the proof we need. We should report this to the police and—" "Wait for backup," Malik agreed. "But first, we must be sure no one gets hurt." They left the pier quietly and called the police team. Soon, many officers arrived and surrounded the area. Victor and his men were caught without warning. At the police station, Victor refused to speak. He knew the evidence was strong. But Daniels and Malik were ready. They planned to use the list Lena found and the pier meeting to build their case. Days passed, and the city watched the news. The police were making progress in fighting crime. People felt safer. One evening, Judge Malik received a letter. It was anonymous but clear in its message. Someone was warning him to stop the investigation. The letter said, "Leave this alone, or face the consequences." Malik showed the letter to Daniels. They both knew this meant their work was dangerous, but it also showed they were close to the truth. "We cannot back down," Malik said firmly. "Justice must win," Daniels agreed. "We will be careful but strong." They decided to increase their security and keep working quietly. Lena helped by watching the city's streets and reporting any suspicious activity. One night, Lena called Daniels urgently. "There is a meeting happening now at a hotel downtown. I think it is important." Daniels and Malik went to the hotel. They stayed, hidden, and watched the guests arrive. The meeting was secret and full of powerful people. Suddenly, Malik recognized one of the men. It was a high-ranking official who had a good reputation but might be involved in the crimes. This was a shock. The problem was deeper than they thought. Corruption was inside the city's own leaders. Daniels whispered, "We must be careful with this. If the wrong people know we are watching, we could be in danger." Malik nodded. "But this is the truth. We have to expose it." They recorded the meeting with hidden cameras and listened carefully. The men talked about money, influence, and covering up illegal actions. After the meeting, Daniels and Malik left quietly. They knew their next steps would be the most difficult yet. Back at the courthouse, Malik said, "We have to protect the people who trust us. This fight is not just for today, but for the future of New Dawn." Daniels smiled. "Together we will. Make sure justice wins." The city was changing. Shadows of truth were coming into the light. And with every step, Daniels, Malik, and Lena moved closer to ending the crime that had threatened New Dawn for so long. The city of New Dawn was calm on the outside, but beneath the surface, a storm was gathering. Officer Daniels and Judge Malik both knew that the corruption they had discovered was powerful and dangerous. Still, they were determined to find the truth and protect the city they loved. After the secret meeting at the hotel, Daniels and Malik returned to the courthouse. They studied the recordings carefully. The voices were clear. Powerful people talked about hiding crimes, blocking investigations, and protecting each other. Malik looked at Daniels and said, "We need a plan. We cannot fight this alone." Daniels nodded. "We must find allies, people we can trust." They decided to ask Lena for help again. Lena had shown great courage and knew the city well. Malik called her and asked her to meet them at a quiet cafe. When Lena arrived, Malik explained the situation. "We found powerful people involved in this crime network. It is bigger than we thought. We need more support." Lena looked worried, but ready. "I will help. I know some journalists who can expose the truth, but we must be careful. If the wrong people find out, we could all be in danger." Daniels added, "We will work together and stay safe. No one will be alone." The three of them agreed to meet regularly and share information. They formed a small group dedicated to uncovering the corruption and bringing justice. Over the next few days, Lena met with trusted journalists. She gave them evidence and recordings. The journalists promised to investigate quietly and prepare a story for the right time. Meanwhile, Daniels and Malik worked on the legal side. Malik used his position as a judge to question suspicious officials and request investigations. Daniels gathered more evidence from the police files and talked to witnesses. One afternoon, Daniels received a call from Sergeant Lee. Lee had found something important in the police database. "There is a name that appears many times in the reports about fake documents and illegal shipments," Lee said. "His name is Marcus Lane." Daniels knew Marcus Lane. He was a well-known businessman, but his success was often questioned. Some people said he had ties to criminals. Daniels told Malik about Marcus. Malik agreed that Lane needed to be investigated carefully. They planned to watch Marcus's movements and gather proof of his crimes. Lena offered to help by following him and reporting any strange activity. Days passed, and their small team worked hard. Lena followed Marcus to a private estate outside the city. There she saw people unloading boxes from trucks. The boxes looked heavy and were marked with strange symbols. She took pictures and sent them to Daniels and Malik. The images showed that illegal goods were being moved at night. Daniels contacted the police and arranged a quiet raid on the estate. When the officers arrived, they found crates full of stolen items and fake papers. Marcus Lane was there, surprised to see the police. He tried to escape, but was caught quickly. At the police station, Daniels and Malik questioned Marcus. He denied everything at first, but soon realized the evidence was strong. Marcus confessed that he worked with others to create fake documents, smuggle goods, and protect corrupt officials. He hoped to keep his name clean, but now the truth was out. The arrests continued as more names from the list Lena found were checked. The crime network was large, but the team's hard work was breaking it apart. The city of New Dawn began to change. People started to trust their leaders again. The news showed stories about the arrests and the fight against corruption. One evening, Malik received a letter from the mayor of New Dawn. The mayor thanked him for his courage and promised to support the investigation fully. Malik felt proud, but knew the job was not done. Some people still wanted to hide the truth. Daniels and Malik met with Lena to plan their next steps. They wanted to make sure the city stayed safe for everyone. Lena said, "We must keep watching. There may be others who try to stop us." Daniels replied, "We will be ready." Malik added, "Justice is a journey, not a destination." The three friends stood together, knowing their fight for truth would continue. The web of lies was unraveling, and the light of justice was growing stronger. In New Dawn, the city of New Dawn was slowly healing. People spoke more openly about the recent arrests. The media covered the stories of bravery and honesty shown by Officer Daniels, Judge Malik, and Lena. Their efforts gave hope to many who believed justice could still win. But even with these successes, Daniels and Malik knew their work was far from over. The corruption was deep, and some powerful people still tried to hide the truth. The two men met in the courthouse to plan their next move. "We have to make sure the new leaders stay honest," Malik said. "The city needs trust, not fear." Daniels agreed. "We must watch carefully and act quickly if we see any signs of wrong." Lena joined them soon after. She had been gathering new information and meeting with journalists who promised to write stories about the cleanup efforts in New Dawn. Lena said, "The people want to believe in justice. We can help by sharing the truth and showing that good people are working hard." Together, the three formed a small group they called the Watch. Their goal was to protect New Dawn from those who tried to bring it down again. One day, Malik received a letter from a person calling themselves a whistleblower. The letter had information about a secret trial happening in another city. The trial was said to involve a high-ranking official connected to the corruption in New Dawn. Malik showed the letter to Daniels and Lena. They agreed that this was important. The trial could bring even more criminals to justice. The three traveled to the city where the trial was taking place. It was a place far from New Dawn, but they knew their work was not limited to one city. Justice had no borders. At the courthouse in the new city, Malik observed the trial closely. The courtroom was full of tension. The accused official tried to deny the charges, but the evidence was strong. Daniels watched the security carefully, ready to protect the judge and the witnesses. Lena took notes and spoke with reporters who were eager to share the story. During the trial, Malik saw how difficult it was to face the truth. The officials' supporters tried to create confusion and spread lies, but Malik stayed calm and focused. He knew that truth was stronger than fear. After many days, the trial ended. The official was found guilty and sentenced to prison. The court's decision sent a clear message. No one was above the law. Back in New Dawn, news of the trial inspired many. People felt proud of the brave men and women who fought for justice. Daniels, Malik, and Lena returned home with new energy. They knew their journey was long but full of hope. One evening, while they met to discuss their plans, Malik said, "Trust is the most important thing we can build. Without it, nothing lasts." Daniels nodded. "And trust comes from actions, not words," Lena smiled. "We have seen that together, small steps can change a city." Suddenly, Lena received a message on her phone. It was a photo of a broken streetlight near the city center. Someone was trying to block the view of the area where a new shipment of fake documents was expected. Daniels looked serious. "This means someone is still working against us." Malik stood up. "Then we must act fast. We cannot let fear stop us." The team quickly planned a night patrol. Lena would watch the area and report any movement. Daniels and Malik would be ready to respond. That night, Lena hid near the broken streetlight. She saw shadows moving in the dark. A group of people tried to unload boxes from a hidden van. Lena called Daniels quietly. He and Malik arrived in a patrol car and stopped the criminals before they could escape. The captured men admitted they worked for a group trying to rebuild the old crime network. They had planned to spread fake documents again and confuse the police. This was a warning that the fight for New Dawn was not over, but the people who cared for the city were ready. In the days that followed, the Watch worked harder than ever. They met with community leaders, held talks with the public, and helped clean up the city. Slowly but surely, New Dawn became safer. The streets were brighter, and people walked with confidence. Malik often thought about the journey. From a simple car misunderstanding to a city-wide fight for justice, it had been a long road. He looked at Daniels and Lena and said, "We have faced many challenges, but the city is stronger now." Daniels smiled. "Because we never gave up." Lena nodded. "And because we trusted each other." The story of New Dawn was still being written, but one thing was clear. When people come together with courage and honesty, even the darkest problems can find light. The city of New Dawn was growing stronger. People felt safer walking its streets. The efforts of Officer Daniels, Judge Malik, and Lena had made a big difference. But deep inside, the three knew their mission was not yet finished. There was one last challenge waiting for them. The root of the corruption still lived in shadows. Some of the most powerful people had not been caught. They watched quietly and planned their next moves. One morning, Daniels received a message from an unknown number. It was a warning. The message said to stop the investigation or face serious consequences. Daniels showed the message to Malik and Lena. They knew it was a test of their courage. Malik said firmly, "We will not be afraid. The truth must come out." Lena added, "We must be careful and smart. We cannot fight blindly." The three decided to hold a secret meeting. They planned how to expose the remaining criminals and protect themselves and the city. Malik used his connections to ask the court for permission to access secret financial records. These records belonged to some of the richest and most powerful people in the city. The judge believed that money would tell the true story. Daniels worked with the police to watch these people closely. Lena kept gathering information from the streets and from her contacts in the community. Slowly, the picture became clear. Large sums of money were being moved in secret. These funds were used to buy silence, influence leaders, and hide crimes. One night, Lena found a hidden meeting. It was held in a private mansion outside the city. Many important people attended. Lena took pictures and sent them to Daniels and Malik. The meeting showed the criminals planning to stop the investigation by spreading false rumors. They wanted to divide the people who trusted Daniels and Malik. Daniels said, "We cannot let them break the trust we have built." Malik agreed. "We must be ready for their tricks." The next day, Malik stood in his courtroom and gave a strong speech about honesty and justice. His words inspired many. The people listened carefully. The judge's courage gave hope. Meanwhile, Daniels and Lena prepared for a big operation. They worked with the police to arrest the leaders of the crime network. The plan was carefully made to avoid any mistakes. The night of the operation arrived. Police cars moved quietly through the city. Daniels led a team to one of the key targets, a wealthy businessman named Mr. Cole. They entered the building and found Mr. Cole with papers that proved his crimes. He tried to escape, but was caught by Daniels and his team. At the same time, Malik worked with prosecutors to prepare strong cases against the criminals. The evidence was clear and strong. In the days that followed, the city of New Dawn watched the news. Many criminals were arrested and brought to justice. The people cheered the bravery of Daniels, Malik, and Lena. But even as the city celebrated, the three friends stayed focused. They knew that the fight for truth was never simple. There would always be new challenges. One afternoon, Malik received a letter from the mayor. The mayor praised their work and promised full support. He said the city would build new laws to prevent corruption in the future. Malik smiled and showed the letter to Daniels and Lena. They felt proud but humble. Daniels said, "This is a new beginning, not an end." Lena nodded. "We must keep watching and caring for our city." Together, they stood by the window of the courthouse. The sun was shining over New Dawn. The city looked peaceful and bright. Malik said softly, "Justice is like the sun. It may hide behind clouds sometimes, but it always comes back." Daniels looked at the people walking below. "And people will always fight for the light." Lena smiled and said, "Because hope never dies." Their story was far from over. But they knew that as long as people stood together with courage, honesty, and trust, New Dawn would remain a city of justice and hope. Malik stood at the front of the large hall. The room was filled with people from all walks of life. There were students, teachers, airline workers, community leaders, and families. Today was a special day. It was a day to celebrate kindness, courage, and change. Malik took a deep breath. He thought about how far he had come. Just months ago, he had faced a difficult moment. He was stopped from boarding a plane for no good reason. It was unfair and painful. But now, that moment had turned into a powerful story. As Malik began to speak, his voice was calm and clear. Sometimes, life gives us hard moments. Moments when we feel small and afraid. But these moments do not have to define us. We can choose to be kind. We can choose to be brave. And when we do, we can change the world around us. The crowd listened closely. Malik continued, "My story is not only about me. It is about all of us. About standing together, about learning from mistakes, and about growing stronger through kindness." People nodded and smiled. Children held signs that read, "Kindness matters," and "Respect for all." Families clapped and cheered. Malik saw familiar faces like his grandmother, who smiled proudly. He also saw Sarah, the flight attendant, who had changed and learned from the past. After Malik's speech, there were songs, dances, and stories shared by many. The friendship circle, The group Malik had started at school had a booth where students talked about kindness and helped others understand its power. Later that day, Malik and Sarah stood on the stage together. Sarah said, "I want to thank Malik. He taught me what kindness really means. Because of him, I want to be a better person every day." Malik smiled and replied, "We all can learn and grow. When we choose kindness, we open doors to a better future." As the sun set, Malik looked around the room. The joy and hope he saw made him believe that this was just the beginning. A new path was open for everyone to follow. In the days after the event, Malik's story spread far and wide. Schools in other cities started programs about kindness. Airlines in different countries trained their workers to be more caring. Communities held events like Hope for All to bring people together. Through it all, Malik stayed humble and kind. He wrote in his notebook every night, reminding himself of the lessons he had learned. He wrote, "Kindness is a gift we can give every day. It starts with one small step." One quiet evening, Malik sat with his grandmother. She said, "You have done something special. You changed hearts and minds. Always remember, kindness is your strongest power." Malik smiled. He knew there would be challenges ahead, but he felt ready. With kindness and courage, anything was possible. Malik looked up at the stars shining in the night sky. He felt hope for the future, a future full of kindness, respect, and understanding. Malik's journey showed everyone that one person can make a difference, that even in hard times, kindness can light the way. And so, Malik's story became a beacon of hope, courage, and a new beginning for many.